Stellantis temporarily closing several of its plants across Canada and Mexico, including pausing production at its Windsor plant for 2 weeks. For more on this, let's go live to CTV Windsor's Maluske. Michelle, I know you've been talking to some of those workers, the union reps. What have they been saying to you?
Disappointed, scared, worried. Those are kind of the sentiments that we're getting today. And, on the other hand, this is what the auto analysts have been saying since President Trump first floated this idea of auto tariffs. The analysts, numerous, had said that auto factories would idle within a week. Well, here we are. Windsor Assembly will idle starting Monday for 2 weeks. There could be other disruptions going forward. And what that does is there are 4,000 people employed in that factory here in Windsor alone. The spinoff is for every one job in that factory. It supports 7 outside of the factory walls where they make the Chrysler Pacificas. We're talking about the tier 1, tier 2 parts suppliers who make the parts that go in the minivans, but we're also talking about the broader community. Restaurants, movie theaters, shopping centers, tourist attractions, wineries, all of these other, pieces that make up a community. If Windsorites aren't working, they're not going out to dinner. They're not going to spend their money anywhere but where they need to spend it. And the union has been telling them, stop spending, hold on to your money. We don't know what the future is coming. Interestingly, already today, Stellantis is saying, yes, this is impacting their Canadian workers. It will also idle workers in American factories as soon as Monday as well. This isn't just Canada and Ontario now. American workers are now going to be on layoff because the Windsor Assembly plant is not running.
I think that's a pretty stark reality when you put it that way, Michelle, when you describe the fact that the union is telling its workers, hold on to your money. You can't afford right now maybe to go to the restaurant and support the local business and the ripple effect it's going to have on the city. Are we hearing from the municipal government in Windsor? Have you spoken to the mayor about what the plan is? And I'm sure he's working with the premier, with the federal government to try to get supports in place for these workers if the time comes for layoffs in Windsor specifically.
Yeah, I haven't spoken with the mayor yet today. I believe one of my colleagues was at a different event, interestingly announcing an EV auto manufacturing parts supplier is planning to establish itself here in Windsor. That story was broke this morning, the day after all of this happened. So certainly an interesting day in Windsor. But I can tell you in previous conversations with our mayor and all of the border mayors and all of the auto mayors, they're all saying the same things. There's very little that a municipality can do to support its workers. Those kinds of financial supports come from the upper levels of government, come from changes to EI, changes to finding funds to help. If people get laid off permanently, they need help to find a new job, to get new skills. Are we, is that a little bit early in this conversation for that? Maybe. But if you're a worker at Windsor Assembly or any of the parts suppliers low on the seniority totem pole, last in is first out. Those are the people with only maybe 10 years of experience at Windsor Assembly who are probably the most worried because they don't have a lot of seniority to ride out this storm. And if they're let go, they need to be put back to work to keep our community going, to help our community not end up being like Flint, Michigan, which was devastated by deep cuts to the American auto industry years ago. So I would venture a guess that Drew Dilkins has been very busy today getting on the phone with, how quickly our largest employer will be idled for at least 2 weeks. And to be clear, there's nothing in Stellantis's notice that says, don't worry, as of April, the following Monday coming right out of Easter, there's no guarantee there that they will go back to work. So very, very uncertain times here in the city of Windsor, unfortunately.
And I can imagine the anxiety that that's causing for people, everyone in that city as well. CTV's Windsor's Michelle Maluske, thank you so much for your time and for providing us this really important perspective.